Hello everyone, and here this is the video to solve the task that I've given to you. Um, okay. So the task is remember we are still at the supermarket. Now there's a problem since we are shopping for multiple items. We want to group them. So the idea is that you should have shopping carts for food, vegetables, electronics. So name each of the shopping carts with these types. Okay. So we have food, vegetables. So it's like a general name for a particular item that you want to add to your cart. So that will give us that you are supposed to create a class. So from the definition of a class, so what is a class? It should give us a bit of why you need to create a class for to solve this. So that class is a blueprint of the object. This can be so let's say okay, yeah, this makes sense. What is a class in Flutter? Nearly all the code you write, yeah. As a class is a blueprint of an object. This may look extremely difficult for you at first, but let's say a class describes an object that you want to create. So see an object as a real life object. So going by this food, vegetables, they are objects. So to describe this food, you have to use a class. So for example, you want to describe an animal like a cat. So you can decide that what this cat has a name, this cat has a color, because not all cats have the same color. So you see, you have a cat, you can decide its name, color. Same thing as anything. So it makes sense to create a class for it because we create a food class, a vegetable class, and electronics. So let's go ahead. And in my code, I'm just going to create a new file called food.dart here. And then we create a class and we call it food. So what are the properties of this food that we want to add to our cart? So I said it should have a name, a property, if it is liquid or solid. So we can make it simple and say we have a string. What is the name of the food? And see, you can decide if it has some calorie content. If it has some calories, you can decide the color. So you can decide that it has a color. You can decide that maybe it's liquid or solid, and we just hit type. So now we are going to have make it like this because we are going to be passing all this property through the constructor of this class. And that's how we are going to do it. We are going to pass all this through the constructor of this class. So that is what we have done here. So the same goes for vegetable dart. You might argue that a vegetable is a type of food, but in this case, we just want to make it different. So here we just make it simple, what type of vegetable it is. And then we have electronic dart. It has to be in singular. So we have electronic, and what it is, string name of the electronic, and then we create a constructor for it where we are going to pass it like this. Okay, so let's go back to the main class. So let's say we want to create an instance of that object. What it means is that you can see all these string name, color, they are properties of the class. And we can also have functions, getters and setters on classes. In future, we are going to see getters and setters. But for now, we've talked about functions. But for an instance of a class, the class describes an object that can be created. So when say you want to create an object, you create an instance of that class. And it's pretty simple. So let's say I want to create a new type of food. I can say food equals to food. So now, because I have this in the constructor, it's going to ask me a couple of questions. What food it is, rice, how many calories. This is an integer, so 3. Color is green because it's string, and the type is liquid, something like this. And then we have a food. Same goes to, let's say you want to do a vegetable, and you say this thing thinks that a vegetable is a type of food, which should be, but for this case we have this. And then we can say electronic, which is going to be, yeah, so we have an electronic and we are importing it like this. If you check here, we just need the name, so we're going to remove all this guy. Okay, so we have created an instance of this. So if you over here, that is a food, this is a vegetable, this is an electronic. So going back to this code, I'm saying that write that code, we want to add to a card of a particular type. I want to be able to tell, okay, so let us create a list. So we can say we want to create a list of food, which is foods, which is food cards basically, like this. We want to create a list of vegetables and electronics. So you can always say food card.add if you want to add a food vegetable cards.add, electronics cards.add. So we have added all this food that we have created to all these cards like this. So if you want to create another food, you can just create another food and say rice 2, for example, and it's going to create a new rice. And you can always say foods cards dot add, and it will be food rice 2 basically. So anytime you want to add an object into a list, you can always use add. Also, you can also decide to do like this. When you are initializing it here, you can always add food rice 2. This will work too for your use case as well. But what we have done here is we have created an empty list, and we are just adding to it, which is what I want you to do. So in hierarchy, how it's supposed to be is you have 3 cards, and then you are picking rice. After you have picked rice, you want to add it to your cart, which is food. You want to add that rice. So let's want to add the first rice. Then you pick another rice and you add it to the rice. And then you finally pick the vegetable, you add the vegetable, and then you pick an electronics and you add it to it. You can see that it's step by step. Program is step by step. So it's good to always take it from top to the bottom. So that way we have added all this in our cart. So let's say you want to print all the elements in your food cart now. So I see some people going to override the toString method. Yeah, something like they are overriding it so that when they print this instance, they will see all this. You can do like this too. But what I was looking for is I want to print all the items in this food cart, because if we do print and we do food carts, you will probably see, let's run this. You'll probably see that an instance of this food here, because it's an instance, it's an object, so you'll not be able to see the property. So let's run this. I hope this video is not so long, but I think it's totally needed, and I might not have a time to edit this video, but let's see. Why is it taking time? Okay, so if you check now, you see that you have instance of food. It's showing that you have two foods there because we have added rice 1, rice 2. And if you look at it, it's a list. So you have a couple of methods in the list. You have a couple of methods here. You have toList, toString, and a whole lot of stuff. But if we do .length, it's going to show us that we have 2 items in this list, which is good. But let's say we want to print all the items in this list, in the food cart list. That's where we come to your flow operations. For example, you can use the for loop. There's something we call loop in something like this. So what we are doing here is that we are saying for all the items in this list, we want to print them out. So we have print here. So let me remove this food cart. We want to print them out. But now what do we want to print? We want to print name. So when I run this, you will see that it's going to print all the items in our food cart. So it's showing 2 because we have rice twice. So let's sort of change this to beans actually. And this is solid. You see, it's actually showing beans. So this is you printing it. You are looking at all the items in this list. So let's say we want to only select items in, you know that this is rice, this is beans. So we want to find the item that is rice here in this list. So I can just say food cart dot where. So when you do where, the syntax is where. What you want to do is you want to check where the item, it will loop through all your list and then look for the item that agrees with this condition. So what you want to do is you want to see where the name is equals to rice. So let me do. So now we are going to print item, and then let's restart. Okay. So now it's coming as an instance of, you see, it's coming as an instance of food, but okay, let's see this method. This method is going to return an iterable with all the elements that satisfy this predicate. So what it's going to do is that it's going to look for all the places in this list that has rice. So to convert that to a list, you can just do to list. So you can see that it has come back to a list of food. And if I do item.thefirst.name, if we run it, it's going to show rice. So it has, so if we do item.length, it will show you how many item is there, which is 1, which shows that there's only one food in this food cart that is rice, which makes sense. So you can also play around with a lot of method in this list. So if you want to remove, you want to add, you want to remove the last items, you want to replace where, you want to use sublist. These are some of the things that you are going to be using. But for the purpose of that answer, what I just told you guys is to just print. So let's just use 4, not this 4. And food in food carts, just print food.name, and we'll do the same for vegetables. We do the same for electronics, and when we run this, you can see it has printed everything we need. So yeah, I'm going to stop the tutorial here because that's basically what I have asked you guys to do. So if you want to tell the property of each of this one, you can always say food.color, food.name, and all those things, and it's going to show. You see that it's showing green. There are 2 greens here, so this one is showing 2. Basically, because you are going to be needing this when you start writing Flutter code itself. So yeah, see ya guys.